How have you been, Koby?
I'm good. It's been about 9 months since I was on the show, and a lot has happened, almost a baby's worth.
Yeah, 9 months is a very long time, and I know you've done some traveling. You've been working on a lot of stuff with Koala Wallet and just Eucalyptus Labs as a whole. So, like, what's your overall sentiment right now with the current market conditions? Because they're obviously different from when we last met.
They definitely are. In the past, like few minutes before we started the call, I went back and kind of scrubbed through some of the questions and things we talked about, and it's really reaffirming, if not sniffing your own farts, but it's really reaffirming to see that a lot of the thesis and things we discussed have definitely been things that we've stuck to, not too many pivot points along the journey. But with the current market, it would have been a different question a few months ago, but recently a lot of my work has been talking to layer one solutions, projects who are seeking funding on those new layer ones emerging. And they couldn't be more excited about the money that they're already pulling in and about the rounds they're leading privately. So that's really added to the substance of what I think right now is happening in the crypto market, separate from ETFs possibly on the horizon again, from new legislation being passed. I think that there's just a growing investment environment, and it's really exciting to be, again, still around, still in the game, which is what we planned for with a really long term roadmap. And so that's where we are today.
Yeah, the network spotlight community, which certainly appreciate you being part of that. But there's a few VCs in there, and I noticed that they've gone a little bit quiet lately. Is it just because of the landscape right now? Are you seeing more on the sidelines, or are they coming back in? And like, what exactly is going on when you talk to projects about raises? Like, what's the current state of the capital right now?
So I think that you're probably not hearing too much noise because typically VCs are doing most of their work silently at that stage. Getting into September, August, fundraising is new to me. I'm a young founder. I've been taking the advice of dozens of different advisors in my life, of people that have raised funds before, sold companies, not been able to sell their companies or get funded. And it seems like this is kind of typical for the path of coming back from their ski trips or for their summer vacations and starting to dive back into the tech. It looks like there was such a focus on infrastructure, and again, it was surprising but reaffirming to me that there's now a refocused view on consumer products and consumer reach. I think it's because that the nature of crypto and the cycle we're in is very cyclical. That now we see the institution has come in a little bit, infrastructure has been built up more, and we're ready for that next catalyst. Maybe it's not a bull market, but the next catalyst that starts to get crypto into people's hands and show them through any means, whether it was NFTs or GameFi or the next thing that really does it. Here's how crypto has another use case and is going to be a part of your life in the next 10 years. Maybe after that next bubble or the next bubble, but it's definitely here to stay.
So when you think about like the 4 year cycle, and I don't know if the next one is going to break that or not, but are you seeing technology that will transcend into that bull market? Are we experiencing it now?
Yeah, I think that a lot of the key and core developers who I've known for the past year or two, in quasi stealth mode, in this bearish type of heads down, develop, marketing can come in later. Those people have still been working on the technology that I believe is going to provide things like scalability, like speed of transactions that are going to be, powering those technologies that are then built during that larger market cycle when things are getting funded, whether it's toasters on the blockchain or an actual healthcare usage that does succeed for many years, which are companies we've seen since 2017, 18, because you always have those winners that emerge from the next bubble. So it's going to be really interesting to see the combination of who's been building and what accelerates faster, those who have been heads down, keep their work going strong, or those who are just starting up, getting a team together, saying, now let's capitalize on the work and the groundwork that's been laid. But I think there'll be a really good combination of both of those. And speaking as someone who's been kind of shipping, we've definitely been shipping over the past 9 months and past year, that's for sure. But we're also doing so in a non-hyper growth mindset, because we know that when the time comes for the next 100 million people getting into crypto, getting access to crypto in general, there's also going to be a mass exodus of 90 million of those, or some crazy number. And it's about how do you retain those and make sure they're not getting bit by a DeFi project or by a toaster on the blockchain getting burnt. So that's what we're really focused on now with a bunch of other builders who we see doing the same thing.
So last time we talked, there was a big emphasis on the Kadena chain. Where are you putting a lot of your attention right now? What kind of chains are you talking to? Are you still solely
Yeah.
focused on Kadena, or have you expanded since then?
So Koala Wallet is now proudly a multi-chain wallet. We just added in Ethereum support, and what we've been building for the past year is what we call multi in mind. That we've always been very sure on. People don't need 20 different wallet applications; they need a really great place to store and utilize their assets. So we always knew multi-chain was the path, but we started with Kadena not only because they're a phenomenal partner and have great institutional, background, but because they were just really hard questions to answer about the chain, on the chain, both in education, marketing, and infrastructure, that we said if we can solve this for Kadena and prove in our thesis that we laid out a year and a half ago, then we know we can bring that across crypto to a much broader space. So we've been launching these different services for and with Kadena, like their Blockchain Explorer. We now run the backend indexer processes for them by Kadena, which is an easier way for people to actually get a hold of the crypto itself. Our education resources still going out there. And again, all this was to really koala bear hug the ecosystem, solve these questions, and then take it to the next level. So we're really excited that our next partners have already been confirmed and signed into super secret NDAs. Some of them I can already announce today, though, being Quai and Shardium, who we're really excited to be working with. And Quai, for example, is another multi-chain type of blockchain that has really unique properties that just separate it from other blockchains and make it hard to just package it up in MetaMask or another wallet and say, here users can store, send, receive. That's just not the goal. Same with Shardium. They are building similar to us with an understanding if users are just going to buy, store, eventually sell our coin, that's not going to add value to anyone's lives or prove that crypto is going to do something positive for them in the future. So just like our thesis, they're focused on really empowering the projects on their chains to be building things that people can really use tangibly. Let's try that word again. That they can use really like tactilely. Let's make up a new word. And that's what we're enabling through Koala Wallet. So it's about being multi-chain, but still allowing a very single chain experience for users, because in the end of the day, it's all about enabling the best of that blockchain and what it has to offer.
I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here.
Let's go.
So you have MetaMask, you have Trust Wallet. Within the Cosmos ecosystem, you have Kepler. So you have these chains that are establishing themselves to be a very dominant force in specific ecosystem, like MetaMask for Ethereum, Trust Wallet for Binance, and Kepler for Cosmos. Where do you see Koala Wallet amongst all of these other wallets?
Right now, if you go to the App Store and you just look and see Koala Wallet, you're going to see it with similar UI patterns and functions to those other wallets, and not really a distinguishable difference or niche place. And right now, what we are focused on launching before the year is up, so you can get really excited. And by the time this is out, those features might actually be there. Is all those features you might have seen and danced around in other wallets, but actually being available in a really scalable and usable way in just one. So we like that a lot of these ecosystem wallets have had to really redefine themselves and say, okay, we have to give people access to Bitcoin, which then opens them up to Bitcoin ordinals, which then opens them up to different UTXO features. We like that they are starting to realize this and head that way, but that's something that we've always had as a core ethos at Koala and Eucalyptus Labs, of preparing the services and team to scale a project that, again, is not the place where you're just locking up your phones, but where you're actually making use of them. So I think in any of these wallets, you're going to find things like staking, you're going to find things maybe like lending protocols, but the next step is working with projects specific to those blockchains and really redefining the experience, not only in mobile, now that we have our extension wallet out there, but combining resources with our marketing team, our communication team, our education folks, to really just make a cohesive experience of saying, here's my crypto, what can I really do with it? So that's where we're differentiating ourselves, and the tools that we're launching in the next year are really going to be bringing that forward to people. So even today, when I show someone Koala Wallet, I do a disclaimer. I say, listen, this is not crazy different looking, but once you start to peel back the layers and get ready for what we're launching, that's where you see that we're doing something different, not building a product to lock up funds, but really a platform to unleash them. Koala Wallet, the wallet name is kind of Trojan horse, but Koala Ecosystem Gateway Tool sounds less appealing. So that's why wallet's probably the best term.
When you think about the actual user and protecting the user, do you think that having like a security audit in place is enough, or do you feel like, for instance, some wallets have like built-in like security scores where they may like integrate certain data? Do you believe in these types of bells and whistles to help protect the user, or do you try to keep it simple?
In a field where the most common um, reason for fund loss, and at our previous firm, we had about 2 million users sending in support tickets every day about different scams, phishing attacks, all these things. 90% of the time, it's going to be someone losing their keys that they either wrote down or forgot to. So I consider these tools really useful and interesting to start developing and working on, but there are still large overarching questions about how do you communicate to users, again, just the basics of crypto, before we start diving into what makes smart wallet account abstraction the next thing to bring 100 million users. In our eyes, we're ready and we're already working on a lot of those tools and integrations inside Koala, but we're still working to solve those basic and large overarching questions. When it comes to security audits, I think security audits are one of the first steps a company can make to really give themselves the confidence that they know where they're headed, and also to express support with their community. But beyond that, I think open source is really the end goal as well in such a decentralized and transparent ecosystem. We are absolutely preparing to go open source. We don't have a timeline yet. We like to give our timelines about 2 to 3 weeks out before we actually launch it. But you want to have at least 1 or 2 auditors, maybe like Certic, with their professionalism, who are really able to nail down and say, hey, folks, before you go open source, how can we work together and make sure there's nothing that we have to patch after the fact? And then you want to really you want to unleash the developer force of the world onto your applications, onto your services and products. I really believe that's one of the only ways that you can make sure something is really impenetrable, and it's also a sign of faith and trust to your community. And lastly, if your business model hinges on secured intellectual property, I think that's a statement that sometimes doesn't resonate well with the crypto community, but it also defines your product. And I think that we're going to see a lot more open source and transparent products and companies start to win out as globalized economics takes place over the next 10 years, and there's really less of a cost, a barrier cost in putting some tech out there and people using it, playing around.
There's a huge debate around helping users recover their seed phrase. So the more user friendly it is, the more centralized it is, right? Versus if you lose your seed phrase and there's no way to get it back and you're done, kaputs, that's it. That is on the other side of the spectrum where it's fully decentralized. What side of the coin would you say you are?
Well, you just reminded me of something else regarding some of the bells and whistles we talked about before. A lot of the time, those security features inherently are relying on centralized sources of information. I'm not necessarily against centralization. I have a passport somewhere around here that I used to get around, and there are a lot of things that we do today that heavily rely and will continue to for the foreseeable future, for sure. But these services, they create directly accessible points to be compromised for fake information. They also can sometimes introduce new mechanisms for really smart and interesting attack vectors that you might think you're helping a user by padding around this information with a different service. If that service is compromised, and we won't name wallets that have used those or haven't, you're putting your own users at risk, all for, are you justifying those goals you started out with? So that's the first thing that goes back there. And then regarding the side of the coin, I think that users should be able to make the ultimate decision with the education, fully given to them, and not being misinformed about security, about the options they have, not being misled to believe that, give us half of your seed phrase and we'll keep on to it, which is safer than you having it yourself, which is not always the case. It's usually not often the case. But really what I believe is that if you're going to say you're doing something to help users, and this is all about supporting crypto and putting it out there and stuff, I hope it's not a $50 a month service, or something that the majority of people worldwide can't afford or get access to. So I think that the community, and especially the cryptocurrency community or blockchain at whole, is really smart in being able to smell out nonsense when it comes from companies who say, we're doing this to be good and to help y'all for only $20.99 a month. And then you say, what's the real technology here? What's the real goal? Could you accomplish it in dozens of different or more decentralized ways? And if not, there will be competitors who will offer that and win out, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that that's a debate that will continue on in terms of like how much user friendliness do we want to provide in sacrificing some of the other things, autonomy and security to a certain degree. So when we think about onboarding the next million users, these people are not really going to have a clue. So there's definitely an emphasis on the user experience, but how easy do we really want to make it for them, right? So it's a very interesting topic to cover and to dissect for sure.
Yeah, and it's also nuanced when you consider of like someone buys a wallet, some centralized exchange buys a wallet, and then that wallet doesn't have any education tools or things to make it easier for people to take their money off of it, a centralized exchange. All right, so now you're getting to the whole debate of where's the incentives of, are they helping users? Are they trying to just keep their funds on an exchange? So again, you're right. It's kind of a debate, and I think the debate needs to always be there and will always be there and continue, because people are going to be speculative about companies that are pushing different tech. And as long as we have an active and ongoing debate and people can be challenged and have to respond to the community, like on Reddit or elsewhere, that's how the best technologies will win out.
So you are the founder of Eucalyptus Labs, and you're working on Koala Wallet, which is one of the tools. Are there any other tools that you're working on outside of Koala Wallet?
Yeah, absolutely. So in our mission to transform wallets as a product to wallets as a platform, there's a lot of tools that we see that are available either in across of your bank application today in your Chase Finance, where you see insights about your spending and about your possible ways to cut back on maybe the DoorDash, or to save a little bit more and round up the cents into a CD. And there's also a lot of tools on centralized exchanges or other places where people have their funds, where they can export their tax information as a low-lying feature, but where they can do a lot of, for example, leverage trading, a lot of really powerful things with their funds or access into platforms that they just don't have the ability to do in a wallet today. And that's again because why take people into a wallet when then you're giving them the full control to manage the funds that they want. Some people claim it's out of worrying about their own safety. Some people say it's because you want to keep their profits. Either way, those are the types of tools and services we're bringing into Koala. We're developing some of them outside of Koala first as standalone products that'll be launched probably Q1, Q2 of 2024. And then you're going to see that deep integration into the wallet, so that becomes more of a platform and tool that's always free to use, never pay to play. But a direct question to a user saying, hey, this is the service, this is what we offer, no BS. Does it add value or save you time and money in your life? If yes, click here, purchase, and let's work together. So I think that's, again, even in the next 10 to 20 years of just commerce and digital goods in general, consumers are smart. Consumers are getting more aware of what value things are actually adding. They're starting to cancel off the subscriptions they don't need. And that's why we're trying to jump the gun and just be really communicative and say, this is what we're offering. Does it help you? If it does, we've succeeded. You've succeeded. We're doing great business together.
You talk to a lot of applications, you talk to a lot of different chains. Where do you see, based on the activity that you're seeing, what do you think is going to succeed here during the next bull run? And by succeed, I mean not necessarily just by the price action, but also just an ecosystem that you see thriving, or a type of application that you see really thriving.
Something that really excites me is community-based projects that are less tethered to finances and are more building applications on decentralized networks at whole. So I think the layer one blockchains that are focused on projects that are not on a quarterly timeline, but really again on a few years of runway and roadmap, that are saying, how do we build a community base or a user base around a product that's tied to direct functionality using blockchain in some ways. This could be GameFi in some ways, not tied to microtransactions, but more, accounts of goods. This could also be in terms of digital assets where you're creating systems to aid and help people use those financial mechanisms, but you're not making your company around the price of them going up and down. So I think anything that's going to really expand the reach of blockchain and again, demonstrate its value beyond a buzzword or beyond immediate financial gain is going to win out. And I think we're going to see a slow creeping up of these services versus, 1,000 NFT projects at once. I think we're gonna. Oh, we got cats jumping. I think we're gonna see really a change that things are going to slowly come out of the woodwork, and you're going to see powered by Blockworks, powered by a blockchain company. We got some things flying around. So that's what I'm really excited for.
Causing a
We
mess
got all
over
kinds
there.
of nonsense here. My chess set is on the ground.
She or he must not be happy right now.
I mean, they're looking at the markets every day. That's my number one financial advisor. So not a very happy cat. That's actually exactly
Yes.
what you call a cat bounce of some sort, but very much alive.
Yes. Boom. For sure. I think you were in the middle of making a point.
Yeah, again, it's all about the trickling in of those services that, again, might not inherently scream crypto or blockchain, but then the realization is, okay, these are being powered or running on Flux Network or Ethereum or one of these new layer twos that's wrapping up transactions very quickly.
One of the things that I really enjoy talking about is delayed gratification. I think that's for any business. If you can just delay that instant gratification of these like short-term goals of making money, and I think there in crypto it's the same thing. If you can delay that gratification to have more long-term goals, and maybe put off trying to make money in the short term, you're more likely to succeed, which is very difficult to do because a lot of projects are struggling right now to survive.
Yeah, and you look at what's some of the original use cases or reasons people get into crypto, and it's very transparently, I want more money. I want my money to go up faster than gold, faster than traditional assets. And so to tell founders and innovators, hey, let's try to switch the attention to things that are not just an offering to users of, we can make you money in XYZ way. But again, we can remove a third party from a part of a system that you're using or in the part of an infrastructure provider. And by removing that party, we're just going to save you money directly. That's a lot of what we've seen with some of these infrastructure companies doing super well. And I think those are the ones who are going to win out, both in terms of, delayed gratification, maybe not, making their users millions of dollars a day or 100x's, but rather starting to save them the 3-4 cents of an arbitration cost, or of these different things that matriculate and add up. And again, show the true value of crypto, because whenever there's going to be an increase of price, that means someone's going to lose out some funds. And the last thing we can be doing right now is chasing more people away from cryptocurrency.
Last time we talked, there was a large emphasis on Kadena, and you just mentioned that you're now multi-chain, which is really exciting. What do you think the future holds for Kadena?
Man, I'm not just talking to the team at Kadena. I'm talking to all the people they've been hiring and all the people they've been putting into really important roles. From folks like Randy, who's been running the developer experience team. In the past 9 months, I had a little mental checklist of things we've been working on. But similarly, Kadena has just been gearing up and revamping in so many ways. If you check their website right now, I'm going to say something really mean about them. It looks like it was made by not a pro graphics designer, and it probably wasn't, because it's from around 2018 or 19 or maybe before then. And they know this. They also know that their documentation has been lacking. They know that their community outreach has been lacking, all these things. And in the past year, what we've been lucky to watch them undergo and also participate in some of the excitement in those rearrangements of the team is just a reorganization of saying, we're ready now with the technologies we've built to bring them to the masses. We're ready with Pact and their smart contract language to put a JavaScript layer on top and bring it to the millions of JavaScript developers around the world. And it's all about what steps they've taken in the past year and a half, and even a little bit before that, of fully understanding we're on a long timeline here, a long runway roadmap, and we're going to put the people and the processes in place to capitalize on that when we're ready. Speaking only from what they've publicly said and what we publicly know, because we sadly do not get so much alpha as people think we do, they are going to be launching a lot closer to the end of this year. They already have started doing so. And it's always exciting. And this is another part I've liked talking to investors recently about. I get to be really honest and authentic, and that makes things easy. And so I'm authentic and honest in telling everyone they have some really great things coming out this year. You're going to see it and decide for yourself, has this team been actually working in the dark like people have said they are? Or are they, some of the community rumors and all this kind of nonsense we hear? I definitely have my foot in the right camp, and I'm really excited for what they're going to be announcing soon.
Yeah, I'm aware of the Teller Oracle integration that they're working on. So, I mean, that to me is exciting because they're trying to bring in more data to these applications that are being built. So they definitely have very high expectations of themselves.
Yeah, and I think Teller as an Oracle was one of the first partners that they announced as part of this new, business development strategy, as part of the new infrastructure coming to the blockchain that they've again revamped. But I think it's really one iota of what they have been working on and putting into place again, a really long-term plan, but finally letting the community and letting everyone in on what have we been doing the past year, because it's not just a few tweets and nothing much. It's been a lot of really dedicated and focused work on things like their upcoming layer 2 plans that I again don't know that much about, but I'm quoting stuff from their campfire. Like I mentioned, the JavaScript layer, all these things that we're really excited to be a part of, to be in the community for. And something that's also really phenomenal about working with this team is when I told them, hey, at the beginning, I said, we love Kadena, but we are fully, planning to go multi-coin. They said, right. And I was like, any pushback? And they're like, no, we get it. You're trying to run a business. You're trying to create a huge, a multi-coin platform. And it suits us as well because they want to showcase their technology next to the new nascent coins, next to the next innovators. So they've taken that leap with us. And I think it's a testament to the community who was like a bit timid of, are you guys leaving? And we said, no, we're about to update the Explorer with a bunch more statistics and information. Our Kadena ecosystem Twitters are about to get a whole revamp and push over a lot of social media partnerships we have coming up. So again, it's really great just to be able to tell the community what's going on and to share the success with them, since they've been waiting a really long time. So have we. And now we all get to kind of walk together as we approach this better market, in my opinion.
What are your thoughts on some of these layer two scaling solutions? Like you have Base, Optimism, which is practically the same thing,
Yeah.
Arbitrum. What are your thoughts on what these guys are building?
Usually, a lot of the issues that are first pointed out are heavy centralization, which is something that is inherently, it can be real, and then you can also work on that or have game plans that make things more centralized once you've launched, or more decentralized once you've launched them. So I think that's not my main critique. I think a concern of mine is that we have all these different layer twos that are already locking up huge amounts of value that either haven't been so tested or proven, but also are doing a lot of the same things. And we don't want to walk into a place where everyone looks around and says, we built these great layer twos, but how many people are really building them? How many people are really using them? That's beyond the argument that I could also make of, if you have a layer two, why do you have a layer two? For example, I think Kadena is answering some really great questions in terms of private infrastructure and adding to speed and security of their network with the layer two as they scale. I think frequently a layer two on Ethereum or other blockchains is addressing underlying issues with that core technology that are just existent because you can't make changes to something once it's launched and so wide and vast. So that's something that concerns me. Of, are we putting a band-aid, or are we really going and seeing the problem and fleshing it out and pushing a real update? But I know that there are just such incredible minds, both at the Ethereum organization on these layer twos, so much money that's flowing into these solutions that I am confident that no matter if there are downfalls of a lot of these blockchains, you're going to have those layer twos that are able to support the business means and the applications that people are looking to run on them and interact with them.
So when you're building out a wallet, do you look inside yourself and think about the technology that you personally believe in that is here to stay, or do you look at what the users want? And if
Mhm.
there's a lot of activity happening on Arbitrum, then you incorporate Arbitrum. Like what side do you feel like is the right way to go about it?
Yeah, it's definitely a mix of seeing first off what are users looking for, because we're trying to build a product that suits and answers real questions for users without falling into loading in the fastest coin that just had a 50% price increase, because at the end of the day, are we really helping or hurting users? We always ask ourselves how we can make sure we're giving the users as much decision making process or as much decision making in that process and weight as we can, without saying, well, we might be hurting them this way or that way. But sometimes you have those real concerns that come up. And luckily, right now, we're at a really interesting stage where the next phase of Koala Wallet is bringing in different ecosystems. We're trying to onboard ecosystems, not layers or not coins. So instead of just listing an EVM and saying, all right, you can store it in Koala now, we're going into their ecosystem we're asking their projects, what are the things right now that are causing friction when people are using your service? How can we align our marketing community developer resources to aid and fix those and make it easier in our wallet environment? And that's, again, how we're taking this ecosystem approach. So with that in mind, we kind of get to look at a playing field, and I have all the names above me right now of chains like Telos, Quai, Meter, Taraxa, Shardium, Flare, Vulcan. I could go on. There's about 40 of them, and we have to ask ourselves which are going to be developed next into the wallet. I have a really exciting thing to tell you about in a little bit about how we're making that decision and really handing it to the community. But right now, for example, layer twos, we see them adding a lot of value versus adding a lot of functionality and options for users. So people are still going to find those projects built on those layer ones that they're going to interact with in the wallet. So we're targeting those layer one solutions first of answering those questions. And then we can bring those value based layer twos that might have the extra DeFi options or allowing the very quick trading and some of those other things. But it's all about really hyper focusing on the layer one solutions and saying, what are people looking to store right now that they can't do with other wallets? But also, even if a blockchain has 13, 14, 15 different wallet solutions, what are they actually offering to increase the user's value of using it in that wallet? Because if it's just locking it up at the end of the day, it's just a wallet, and Koala Wallet is much more than that. So yeah.
Plus, you guys have really cool hoodies. I will say that.
This one's getting a bit weathered because I've been wearing it like crazy. But we have a new merch thing dropping soon. We actually, again, this is like where we want it to be a little bit different. If you go to swag.koalawallet.io, thank you for the plug, Mikhail. You can see that we have some pretty cool designs up there. That's not just like take the logo, throw it on a t-shirt. We work with some really cool independent artists who had some cool designs. And so we have those up there. And if you're an artist and want to work with us, we would love to, give the proceeds of all those sales. Come design some cool stuff. Let's put it on the site and let's ship it around the world, since we've made a lot of revenue, comparably in terms of selling out our swag. So it's been really fun.
Amazing. Koby, where can people get in touch with you, Koala Wallet, and Eucalyptus Labs?
So they should head to koalawallet.io. And if they're looking to get in touch with me personally, that's my full name, Koby Lazar, Lazar.com. I got that domain a few years ago. Very proud I could snag it before someone took it from under me. And we're really looking to get in touch with both, layer solutions, with developers, with projects that are building, and also with community members or anyone who wants to ask us, cut the bullshit. What are you actually doing different? Let's talk, because we have a lot to share over our Discord and really express where we are changing the wallet game. So we're always happy to have that conversation and really show people what our plans are.
Great. I'll make sure to include the links in the description. Koby, any parting thoughts for the listeners?
Man, check out more of Mikhail's videos, either if you're on YouTube or if you're on a Eucalyptus link right now. He's been just getting a hold of everyone and starting to do the really cool YouTube thumbnails where you're like, okay, I got to know what he's talking about. And so check out those videos, because again, this is one of the only podcast or interviews I've been able to do where it's free flowing. It's a bunch of questions. I try not to talk like a politician too frequently. It happens sometimes. But man, it's fun. And Mikhail, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's always a pleasure, Koby. We'll have to have you back for a third time.
Let's not make it 9 months away, but let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thanks, Mikhail.